You're arguably the most interviewed CEO in history. Is it your ability to communicate that comes from instinct, or is it something you've learned over the years?
Well, I certainly learned to speak in public at one time. I was terrified of speaking in public when I was in high school. I avoided any class that would require it, and in college. And then I finally signed up for a Dale Carnegie course. When I got out of school, I realized I had to talk to people, and I spent $100. I got this little diploma. I proposed to my wife during the term of the course, so I really got my money's worth there. But in terms of public speaking, I really had to force myself on that. In terms of talking privately, they couldn't stop me from the moment I started in school or anything. I've always liked to talk.
How do you keep up with all the media and information that goes on in our crazy world and in your world of Berkshire Hathaway? What's your media routine?
I just read and read and read. I probably read 5 to 6 hours a day. I don't read as fast now as when I was younger, but I read 5 daily newspapers. I read a fair number of magazines. I read 10Ks. I read annual reports, and I read a lot of other things too. So I've always enjoyed reading. I love reading biographies, for example.
And you process information very quickly.
Well, I have some filters in my mind. So if somebody calls me about an investment in a business or an investment in securities, I usually know in 2 or 3 minutes whether I have an interest, and I don't waste any time with the ones in which I don't have an interest. I always worry a little bit about even appearing rude, because I can tell very, very, very quickly whether it's going to be something that's will lead to something, or whether it's just a half an hour, an hour, or 2 hours of chatter.
When I think you wrote in an annual report, it was in 2009, speaking about the country, about the economy, we are certain, for example, that the economy will be in shambles throughout this year. The problem was that wasn't the complete quote. It led the impression that you were unduly pessimistic about the country. How did you respond to that?
Yeah, well, I wasn't at all pessimistic about the country. In fact, I wrote an op-ed piece for the New York Times in October of 2008, just when the world was kind of falling apart. And I said the world is going to fall apart for a while, but don't worry about it. We're going to come out fine on the other side. And I said, buy stocks. And I've never been pessimistic about the United States. I bought my first stock in the spring of 1942. I was 11, and if you remember, you don't remember. No one watching this will remember. But we were losing the war at that time, and we were getting totally creamed in the South Pacific, and the Philippines fell, and the Death March at Bataan, and all of that sort of thing. It was not until the Battle of Midway, which was a little later, that things started turning around. But I was optimistic on the country then, and I've been optimistic on the country ever since. And incidentally, the Dow Jones average then was 100, and it's